Hey fish friends, Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks, back with another video. So in the last video that you saw, if you watched my last video, you saw that the Oscar that I was caretaking, the fish that we named Oscar, so original, he went back to his home, which is my customer's tank. I went to service the tank and had contacted the customer ahead of time and shared with the customer that he was mostly healed and would be coming back to the tank. And we discussed, making sure that the other fish would be okay with Oscar. So I did everything as planned, and prior to going over there, I caught him and put him in a container and brought him with me to do the service job. And what I did is I did my normal draining of the tank, or probably like a 65% water change. And as I was refilling the tank, I put Oscar back in the tank. I kind of moved a couple things around just to change up the decor a little bit. And hopefully introduce them back into the tank without too much trouble. Originally, we had thought that, and we meaning myself and a lot of you who commented on the other video, originally the thought was that it was probably the Pocostomus that may have kind of latched onto him, because they tend to like the slime coat sometimes, and we thought that maybe the Pleco was kind of rasping away at his body and kind of wore an area down. And that was really due to the location of the wound and how it looked. It was just nothing that I had seen before as far as like another fish attacking it. So Oscar went back in the tank. Well, in this tank there are lots of different fish. There's like gouramis, there's a Jack Dempsey, a small one, there's convicts, cichlids. It's kind of an interesting mix. There's another Oscar that's much larger. Recently the customer added a red devil, probably a couple of months ago. And so when I put the fish back in, I was observing very closely to see how Oscar was doing, and what the situation was like with the other fish. And what I can tell you is that it didn't go well. At first, the other Oscar is, as you know, Oscars get really big. This Oscar is, the other one's probably, it's still growing, but it's, an easy 11 inches or so, much thicker in mass, about twice the size of Oscar. And so that Oscar was kind of bullying, the smaller Oscar, kind of bullying the Oscar, and kind of chased him away into the other part of the tank. And it's a 6-foot tank, so there's lots of swimming space and there's lots of hiding areas and things like that. Well, what I found was that as soon as the Oscar bullied him and chased him away, the red devil went on attack. And the red devil, and I've kept these before, and I had one that wiped out an entire aquarium years ago. This is probably going back 13, 14 years ago. I had a red devil that wiped out one of my tanks. And anyway, this red devil, sure enough, lived up to its name and attacked Oscar, and hit him pretty hard, actually. So then I was observing closer and wanted to see what was going on and how he would fare. Well, the red devil hit him again, and he hit him to where Oscar jumped out of the, not out of the tank, but he jumped up at the surface of the tank, and the red devil hit him in the side. Water splashed, because I was still refilling the aquarium at this time. Water splashed up on the wall, probably about 3 or 4 feet away from where the opening was. So water splashed, way up on the wall, and so I said, okay, this is not good. I looked at Oscar. I noticed that he had some scales that were freshly removed, and a little bit of like an abrasion, and so a little bit of bleeding, actually. And I said, okay, well, it's not working out. I got to catch him, and I got to talk to the owner and figure out what's going on and what we can do. So I caught Oscar, put him back in the bucket, continued, servicing the tank, finished up, wiped the lids down and everything. The owner came out. This is at an office building. It's a medical office. The owner came out, and I said, well, I have good news and bad news. I said, the good news is that Oscar's, he's healing very well. You can see, how well he's doing, and how he was compared to when I first got him from you a couple months ago. The bad news is I put him in the tank already, and he already got his butt kicked. And I showed him the water on the wall that was still there. I hadn't dried that part off yet. Told him what I saw, and we discussed some options. And really, and to the credit of my customer, and he loves his fish. He cares very much about his fish. He went out and invested and bought a 125 because I told him that the tank that they had was too small, and he really does care about his pets. And he said, I don't want to see him hurt. I don't know what to do. Should I trade him in and get something different, or sell him, or what should we do? So basically, after some discussion and talking about some options, the customer said, well, why don't you just take him if you have a spot for him, and you can just have him and take care of him, and I know he'll have a good life with you. So I agreed, and so that was what we did. Is I took Oscar back home, and so he's back. And I remember when I was driving home, I was talking to my wife on the phone, and she asked me how my day was going, and I said, well, I just finished doing the water change, and I brought Oscar back. And she said, oh no, I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. And I said, well, he's in the car with me right now. He's coming back home. And she said, yay. So she was really happy because she's become attached to him, as we all have. So anyway, that's what happened. Is I brought him back. Every intention was to introduce him back into his original tank, and I made sure that I was during a water change and moving decorations around, and that usually helps in easing any tension in territories and things like that. But in this case, they just went after him. The big Oscar bullied him away, chased him around a couple times. His mouth is super big, and kind of did the whole aggression thing and showed him his mouth and chased him off. And then that red devil hit him that couple times, and that last time he hit him was just so hard. I thought, there's no way this fish is going to survive. He's going to be, he's going to be killed and bullied to death within a couple of days. So anyway, so he's back here, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with him long term. He's still a juvenile, so he's not too big for his tank yet. And you may remember he was in this tank right here behind me. This is a 20-gallon tank. I ended up moving a bunch of stuff around. If you watched my video over the weekend, I think it was a Saturday video when I was doing the drawing for the free gift, you might have noticed this tank was empty. There was still it was like right in the middle of I wanted to get the film done and loaded onto YouTube so that people can see who won the contest. But I was kind of in the middle of taking him back out of the 20, and he was in a bucket at that time, and I had to move fish from that tank to this tank, and it was just, I did a bunch of water changes and moved some stuff around. So anyway, so that was a few days ago. So now what I'll do is I'll show you what I've done with him, where he is now, and we'll talk about what some future plans might be. So here's Oscar. You can see there on the left side where the wound is healing. You can also see his left fin there is a little bit tattered. I think that was from the encounter with either the red devil or the other Oscar. So anyway, he's in a 40 breeder now, and because he's only about 8 inches or so, I think he'll be fine in this 40 breeder for a while. And eventually the plans will be to move him to a larger tank as he grows in size. Right now the tank is bare. It just has a sponge filter that's protected with a little plastic tank to keep him from biting chunks out of it. So for now he'll live in this 40 breeder, and I'll take care of him, and as he grows we'll keep an eye on him and possibly upgrade him, most likely to a larger tank in the future. So that's the update on Oscar. For those of you that have been following the saga and have been cheering for him all along, thank you. I'm sure he feels the love, across the internet. And for those of you that were sad to see him go, and I'm sure there were a lot of you that were getting attached to him, you may be happy to know that he's back here with us. So he will continue to be featured on this channel from time to time. And as he grows, we will probably move him to larger tanks and things like that. So anyway, that's all I had for now. Again, as always, I appreciate your viewership. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you have anything to say, please comment below. I love reading your comments. I try to respond to all of them. I can't always get to them right away. And as the channel gets more and more popular, there's more and more comments. So I may not always get to them, but I do make an attempt. So thank you very much. If you're a subscriber, please hit that notification bell, and that will just let you know when I upload a new video. And that information is also in the description below, and it tells you when I upload videos and the frequency. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.